like to call this meeting of the Architectural Design and Planning Commission to order. Let's see, Commissioner Haas, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Sure.
Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Michelle Bowers,
Here.
Catherine Carlson,
Present.
Amanda Haas,
Present.
Andrew Mercy,
Present.
Timothy Wiley, absent. Vice Chair Russell Bartlett, absent. Chair April Bartlett.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay through the entire meeting due to extenuating circumstances, a total of 10 minutes is provided at this time, during which input may be given regarding agenda items. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Any person who would like to address the Architectural and Design Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the Architectural and Design Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Architectural and Design Commission. Speaker cards are available at the entrance of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each.
We do not have any speaker cards.
Okay. All right. I'd like to move that we approve the minutes from our regular meeting from April 4th of 2013. Should we take a vote? All in favor of approving the minutes?
I'll second.
Oh, are these working now? Okay. Oh, I did. Did it work? Are we good? Okay. So it's approved 5-0. Okay, so new business, ratification of wayfinding district names. Who will be presenting this? Liz? Hi, Liz.
Good evening. I will try my best to keep this short, leave plenty of time for answering any questions that you may have. While the image is being adjusted, we'll go ahead and get started. As you recall, back in April, we discussed the need for the city to develop a more cohesive wayfinding program that would not only reinforce the city's brand, but also help first-time visitors navigate their way through an area without confusion. Now, although we're far from being done from the entire program, we thought it was important to provide an update and get approval from the commission so that we're able to move forward with the first phase of the wayfinding program. Before we go ahead and talk about the districts, which we're hoping the commission will ratify tonight, we wanted to kind of share a little bit about the thought process that went through in terms of developing these different districts. Some of the things that we looked at were key attractions and identifiers of the particular area, things either historic or things that were coming, past, present, and future developments, as I mentioned. The overall perspective, and this really was the one that was very challenging from staff, because as you know, individuals have their own personal preferences. City staff uses a lot of technical terms and things like that that we're very familiar with, but people, residents, both new to the community and those that have lived here for a long time, may not be familiar with those terms. So we try to keep that into perspective as we came up with the district names as well. And also, the big question was whether or not an area warranted a district at all. And we found this to be something that we needed to address, and we came up with a solution we hope the commission approves. Just to Refresh your memory, the core area for this initial part of the wayfinding program was going to be the area between Avenue I and Avenue L, roughly 30th Street West and about 10th Street East, and this was kind of the area of focus. So we took a look at all the local attractions from a visitor standpoint and also from local residents and the things that we needed to identify in these key areas. So the 7 districts that we came up with are the ones that are in front of you and up here as well. The Boulevard District, City Park, Mid-City, the IC, Sierra, Valley Central, and College West. To help you understand kind of where these different areas are, we made a map that everyone should have in front of you as well to identify the different colors and where the districts lie. Let me start off by saying that this is a little bit different than a traditional district where there's specific boundaries of L and I and 10th and 15th Street West. And we decided to do this because the city is obviously still not fully developed. There's things that are going to be coming along the way. We really looked at where are the areas where are the key corridors that we're going to be directing people on and helping identify the districts that way. We're a city of corridors, and that's where we kind of felt it was kind of important to keep it in that way. To give you a little bit of background on kind of how we came up with the different names, some of them are a little more self-explanatory. The Boulevard District is something that we've been working on in branding for quite some time. People identify this area as the Boulevard, but as you can see, the Boulevard District actually extends further out to about 20th Street West and Sierra Highway. It's also important to note that in one of the future phases of this wayfinding program, as I mentioned back in April, we're actually looking at doing some significant monument program there at the bridge where 20th Street West and Lancaster Boulevard is, so kind of as a gateway point to identify that you've arrived to the Boulevard District. City Park, which is the orange area there surrounding the Lancaster City Park, again was an identifier. Most people recognize the area as the city, the things that are by City Park. I know before we've used things like Amargosa Creek because the creek's right there as well. But in our discussions, what we found out, well, we didn't find out, but that we knew, is that the Amargosa Creek obviously runs all the way north and south of that area. So it wasn't a real good indicator on being able to identify that specific area. So we used the City Park name instead. Mid-City is the one that was kind of challenging. We use Mid-City more as an identifier in terms of physical location, in terms of the overall city. A lot of people consider the area kind of more of the hospital area, the hospital district, or some sort of medical use. And we agreed that that's obviously a big component of that area. However, there's several large projects that are going on now, both Kaiser with their facility, which is going on there at Avenue L, just east of 10th Street West, and then also the MAC facility, which is going on Avenue I by Division Street there. We envision long-term that smaller medical areas will also develop around those areas as well. So if we made something generic like a hospital district or by the hospital, it would preclude some of those different projects that are happening as well. So we figured with Mid-City, it was broad enough to identify the area, and what we hope long-term, much like what's happened here downtown, is that within these districts, smaller neighborhoods would develop. Much like I said, downtown here, people know this as the Boulevard. We've created smaller neighborhoods like Sodo, and we hope that long-term, those types of neighborhoods would also develop within these various districts. The next one is along the Avenue I corridor, which we're calling the IC. I obviously stands for Avenue I, but in addition to that, we thought about it standing for innovation, the innovation corridor. As many of you know, on the far east side of that area, it's anchored by the Lancaster University Center, where engineers are going, studying, and are basically the future innovators of our community. And we thought it would be kind of a nice little touch there. The other thing that we talked about too is that, I'm sure as most of you know too, is Avenue I is going through a major transformation now. It's been part of many visioning workshops and visioning plans that the city has done over the last couple of years. And there's also some significant public works projects that are happening in the near future that's going to completely transform the look and feel of this area. So again, we tried to find something that was more forward thinking and something that, again, that area can kind of develop into over time. College West, which is the lighter purple color there, surrounding and going towards Antelope Valley College. A lot of people know it as a kind of just a general college area, but much like the medical district, what we talked about was the the growth of other universities as they continue to grow. West Coast Baptist College continues to grow in terms of enrollment and future projects, University of Antelope Valley. So this was a way that we can keep the college name but identify it more closely with the actual physical location in terms of the city. Sierra, which runs up north and south of Sierra Highway, pretty self-explanatory. For those who aren't familiar, Sierra was named that way because this was the old road to Sierra Mountains, so we thought it would, from a historical standpoint, be nice to keep it that way as well. Plus, although Sierra Highway does run into multiple cities, in terms of the major activity really happens between Avenue I and Avenue M, which is in the city of Lancaster. So, we felt that it was a good way of owning that name. And then the last one is Valley Central, which is the area between Avenue I and Avenue J there along Valley Central Way. Valley Central Way is unique because Valley Central only runs in this little part of town. As many people use it as an identifier of, oh, it's the one by Valley Central or it's in Valley Central. So we thought about just extending it up north there for that whole corridor area as well. Part of the thought that we also went into is in terms of identifying colors that associated with either that particular area or some aspect of our community. Again, we try to pick things, the Boulevard District, we try to incorporate that same Boulevard purple that you see throughout downtown just to kind of keep it consistent. City Park, which is home of the Poppy Festival, we felt that poppy orange would be a good color to use for that area. In order from the consistency standpoint for Mid-City and the IC, we decided to use the blue and green from the Positively Clear logo that the city has. Again, just from a familiarity standpoint. For those who don't know the history behind the brand, the blue is supposed to signify, if you see it in the positive sign, the skies, the clear skies of Lancaster, and the green, kind of the Green Valley's technology, green innovation, and some of those things as well. College West, we try to incorporate the Marauder color from ABC, again, just to let them keep that consistency there with Antelope Valley College. For Sierra, we use kind of a desert color that's not brown, and so we found a nice little gold that kind of was symbolic of this area. And then lastly, the Lancaster Jethawks, which is kind of a staple there in that Valley Central area, using the red from their team colors as part of that for the wayfinding signs. The next part we also went through, because again, the key of the wayfinding program was really to develop signs to help people get to these big attractions. As we were going through this process, what we found is that some of our major attractors were located on the fringes of town. The soccer center is out on 30th Street East. There's not a lot happening kind of between Division and 30th Street East in terms of today. The Poppy Reserve, it's a long road on Avenue I to get from the freeway all the way to the Poppy Reserve, which is on 170th Street West. So what we came up with was on those situations to create attraction signs. So there wouldn't be necessarily a district today, and although we're only presenting 7 districts today, that by no means means that there's only going to be 7. We envision that as development happens and other projects come online, that additional districts would also come online. In the meantime, though, for those things and those other key attractors, we decided to come up with these attraction signs. Again, trying to come up with some sort of design that was cohesive throughout the city, so that they understood that that not only were they in the city of Lancaster, but this is one of the top attractions. If you drove by this sign, it would grab your attention and say, hey, maybe I should make that left or go forward and see where the Poppy Reserve is, or the University Center, or some of these other things. And then just lastly, just wanted to say I know it's been kind of a long process to get to this point, and again, we're far from being done. But it's as we got into the project, we really got a better understanding of kind of the rules and regulations that go along with something as you would think was as simple as a sign. So I just wanted to make sure to thank, we work closely with the planning department, our public works department, which is represented here by Neil, Canopik, and then really the community, working with our consultant, talking to people. Again, we wanted to try to have these informal discussions with people that aren't as close to the city. friends and people that come to the city hall in terms of just doing business and say, hey, what do you know this area as? Again, to kind of keep it broad, make the input broad, or as broad as possible. And so we thank them for that. So with that, like I said, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Again, the goal for tonight would be to have this commission ratify the district names so that we can move forward, finish the construction drawing, so we can send out at least this first phase of pole signs out to bid.
I just want to say good job. It's awesome. I think it's I love how thoughtful it is. I love how much you guys thought about what to call everything, and even the colors, and using our logo colors and the poppy and the desert but not brown. And I think it's I really appreciate that, and I think it was well done, and I don't have any questions. I just really I like it.
Thank you. And like most plans like this, we wanted to give it some thought, and a lot of times it becomes a conversation starter. And unless you know that these are the colors and they represent this, or what the name behind Sierra Highway is, then again it says, well, why is it called Sierra? Well, because this used to be and those are the kinds of things that we try to keep in mind when we're developing these.
I like the idea because a lot of times people live in the area and they don't even know about certain things that are there. And so I think that's a great idea, that it exposes people that may not know about it to what's in their community. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone else?
Just one quick question. Also, I would like to commend you on all of the work that has gone into this. This is very exciting. Kind of curious about the time frame as far as implementation of all of this. What do you anticipate?
With the commission's approval, we can finish up the construction drawings. And again, I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to pretend to be. But Neil will nod his head if I say something bad. Within a couple of weeks, we'll be able to finalize the plans, send it out to bid, which takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get the results. So within a few months, we'll be able to see the signs being put up. And again, hopefully within a short amount of time, we'll be able to come to this commission and present the next phases, which I think are actually even more exciting than this part.
Can I ask one question? I'm sorry. So the attraction signs will be black?
It's actually a gray.
Okay.
It's a darker. We had to find a darker color so that the lettering stood out more.
Okay.
But we didn't want to settle for a black, so we looked at it's actually a dark gray that not coincidentally, purposely are the same color of the bus benches that are being now done throughout the city. So again, we're trying to pretend like we're planning all
And
these
so
things.
that's the black is highly visible, meaning, I guess, for whatever reason, I'm just trusting that you guys know that is, it will be easy to be seen, and the lettering will stand out, and it won't sort of disappear against the asphalt or something like that, because that's what I'm thinking, is because those are further out. I sort of am I just making sure they're visible, but I guess they're obviously elevated.
That is, and there's also a lot of other elements that go into it. I mean, they use reflective tape on the lettering purposely. So again, so if it's dark, as your car lights reflect on it, so it'd be even more visible. And again, the darker the background, the more that the actual lettering pops. And again, that's really the attraction for it. So yeah.
So I move that we approve that we ratify the names for the wayfinding districts.
I'll second that. All in favor? There it is. Everybody get on there? Yes. So it passes 5-0. Was there any other presentation? Anything else?
That is the only agenda item.
Okay.
And I'll turn it back over to you for public business from the floor.
Okay. Public business from the floor. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the Commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the Commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each.
Also, no cards.
No speaker cards, okay. I move that we adjourn the meeting to Thursday, September 5th at 5 p.m.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.